You know what the best type of book haul is? It's one that's free. My sister's an avid reader. She definitely reads way more books than I do, and she also reads a lot more different books. She's not really into science fiction like I am. She reads more young adult, fantasy, historical fiction, stuff along those lines. A book that she recommended to me a while ago has been on my TBR list, and I'm kind of just like ready to read something a little bit different because I've been reading so much space opera this year. So I was really looking for a change of pace. So I was like, hey, I want to borrow that one book that you recommended to me. And I ended up leaving with like 20 other books as well. So the first book, the one that I was meaning to borrow, is The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. From what I've heard about this book, it's just really feel good. It's a light fantasy book with magical children. The main character is gay, and it is a found family sort of plotline. So it just sounded like a nice change of pace for me and for what I've been reading. The next book is a graphic novel called Fake Blood. It's also middle grade. I actually read this last night, but I'll be talking more about my thoughts on it in my wrap-up. This book is about a boy who has a crush on a girl who is obsessed with vampires, and so in order to get her attention, he pretends to be a vampire, and it turns out that she's actually a vampire slayer, and hilarity ensues. The other night I watched The Radium Girls on Netflix, and it is based off of a book I had read last year by the same title. Though the film was a way more condensed storyline, I don't want to get too much into it. It did get me interested in reading some nonfiction pieces again. So the next two books are nonfiction of the same general topic. Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs? Big Questions from Tiny Mortals About Death. This one is written by a mortician, and she answers various questions about death. Stiff by Mary Roach, also another book about death written by a mortician. And then getting into some more historical reads, I have The World That We Knew by Alice Hoffman. This is a book taking place in Nazi Germany. A Jewish girl is escaping the Nazi regime and has light fantasy elements in it with her mom builds a golem that protects her. It just sounded like a really interesting read, that it is historical and both a little bit fantasy. The next one is both historical and romance, which I haven't really read any romance books this year. Lovely War by Julie Berry. This one takes place in World War I era, which I haven't read anything in that era. It follows two couples, one of which is a biracial couple, and their story is told through the perspective of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. I've also been on a horror film kick, which is kind of rare for me. I'm not a big movie watching person. I have to be in the right mood to watch movies, and then to want to watch horror movies, that's like a whole other mood, but for some reason I've just been on a kick. So the next one is a horror book called Horrid by Katrina Leno. First of all, the cover art is so beautiful. I'm pretty sure this is an Owl Crate book, because I know my sister does Owl Crate. So it's got like a really pretty dust jacket as well. This book is about the main character moves back into the childhood home of her mother, and there's some haunted happenings going on, so sounds interesting. Bone Houses by Emily Llyod-James. Yet another Owl Crate. I think I got a couple more Owl Crate books because, like I said, my sister subscribes to it. This is kind of like a take on zombies. The Bone Houses is in reference to, I guess, these undead. So kind of just like an interesting and eerie read. Okay, more Owl Crate exclusives, and though I said I wanted to get away from science fiction, The next two are science fiction. The first one is Crier's War. And all I know about this is that it is an android-human love story, and they are lesbians. So what isn't there to like about that? I hope you get this message by Farah Naz Rishi. Again, I love the cover. The book inside is like these ones and zeros. And this is about some kids on Earth getting a message from aliens. I'm rationalizing this choose as it's not space opera. But the idea of actually like connecting with aliens is something that's really appealing to me, so I wanted to read this. Getting into contemporary reads, I have With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, which I know I'm butchering her last name. I'm so sorry. Again, really cute artwork with like these fruits and stuff. I think even like the hardcover inside is like all fruity. This is about a teenage mom who is trying to get into culinary school, and just the writing style is very like poetic prose. So I'm mostly interested in the writing style, and also I very rarely read contemporary. This next book is getting into the apocalyptic. Dry by Neal Shusterman and Jarrod Shusterman, which is a father-son duo. This is about a massive drought taking place in California. And my sister said that it just gave her a lot of pandemic feels. It was very relatable to kind of what we've been going through in this last year. Though this book was written, I guess, in 2016, I think she said. So it's just fascinating how literature has been able to predict, not exactly like what is going to happen in the future, but how people are going to react. And the last book is from an author I really adore, and I've pretty much read everything by him except for this book. And that is Anansi Boys by Neal Gaiman. This is actually a signed copy. Pretty much like late high school, possibly early college years, Neal Gaiman was like my favorite author to read. But for some reason, I just like never got around to reading this book, and I don't own it. That's why I'm borrowing it. I don't know if this book came out before American Gods or afterwards, but the character Mr. Nancy was in American Gods as well as this book. This book is about Mr. Nancy's children. He has two sons that didn't know about each other, and Mr. Nancy is, of course, Nancy the god Anansi. So the main character didn't know that his father was a god, and after his death, he both learns about the true nature of his father as well as the fact that he has a brother. I've got my reading cut out for me. Like I said, this haul literally doubled my physical TBR list. But what makes me really happy about this haul is, like I said, I've been kind of in a rut where I've been mostly reading space opera science fiction, and while that is my favorite thing to read, I really need to mix it up every now and then as well. So I got several different genres to explore, dip my toes in, and for the best price of all, free.